Sam, thank you so much for coming on the Hustlin With Houses podcast. How are you today, mate?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me. I've actually been really looking forward to this one.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you for travelling all the way from Bradford, was it?
It is Bradford, yeah.
Yeah.
I say Leeds just to be posh, but I'll Bradford.
Happy days, mate. So let's take it back. I don't want to be too cliche, but let's take it back to the start of where your sort of property journey started. And when was it?
When was it? So I suppose it depends on when you class it starting. For me, it kind of started in, I think it was 2019, so I'd have been about 19 years old, I think. And at that point, I was working a full-time corporate job. I was in e-learning. I was in like customer support and sales. And wasn't on bad money or anything, but I'd worked in corporate since I was 16. And I just knew it wasn't for me. Like, I'd always kind of known, like, every single person I met, none of them were happy. Everyone would talk about the things they'd wished they'd done. And I'd have this really weird thing where people would corner me, being a bit younger, and like, you know what, you're young, you should do this, you should do that, don't get stuck here. And it was like a bit morbid, really. So, you know, it really was like, wow. So I'd kind of known since being a kid I wanted to go off and do my own thing. And when I was 19 years old, I started researching, and I won't lie, the typical stuff that young people do, like get rich quick and that kind of, like, how can I be a millionaire next week? And you know, the stuff that came up was like Forex, Bitcoin, the standard. And I looked into Forex for a while, but it didn't excite me because it's just numbers on a screen. And then I saw property on YouTube, and that was the first thing that sparked my interest because it was real, it was physical, you could walk around it, you could see it. And I just kind of became obsessed. So I started listening to podcasts, watching YouTube videos, going to these weekend events, the ones where they really hard sell you. I didn't know that at the time. I just walked in like, I'm going to learn about property, and then it was like, wow, okay. But, you know, I kind of saw through that and didn't buy anything, but I still learned quite a bit from those weekend courses. And then I went travelling in 2019, which taught me loads about the world, and came back in the back end of 2019. And that's when I was like, right, I need to do something in property now. I've set my mind to this, and I need to do something. And the only thing I could think of was, because I had like no real qualifications or anything other than my GCSEs, was estate agency. No disrespect to estate agents, not saying you don't need to be qualified. But that's how I kind of got started, was as an estate agent. And that was a good entry-level way to get into property. You learn that estate agents don't actually need to know that much about property, which is interesting. Me and you were just talking about that. And from there, COVID hit, lost my job, and started sourcing. And I was sourcing property for about a year because I thought, you know, I'll set up a sourcing business. Lockdown's going to last 3 weeks and we'll be out. Obviously, now that ended. And I was recruited by Blue Bricks magazine after about a year of property sourcing. I was connected with them, and they said, why don't you join us as the marketing manager? You can work 25 hours a week. We'll help you with investors. I'd never been around like business people before then. And, you know, you can join the office, and there's all entrepreneurs in here with their own businesses. You can meet them, be around them, and we'll give you a hand. And we're all in property ourselves, and it was perfect. So I started working for Blue Bricks magazine while sourcing. And then I met Nathan Winch, who was the ex-owner of Blue Bricks, and I walked away from sourcing and started following in his footsteps, very inspired by what he's doing, still am. He's a huge inspiration of mine. And started getting involved full-time in Blue Bricks magazine and in his stuff. So I was, you know, finding businesses that were suitable for acquisition. We were valuing those businesses, looking at creative strategies for buying the businesses. And he kind of knew, I didn't realise I had my sunglasses on me. He knew that's what I wanted to do. And it got to a point where I said, look, I'm selling Blue Bricks magazine. I know that you want to do what I do. Why don't you buy Blue Bricks magazine off me? And that was in 2022. So that's how it all kind of came about, me being the owner of Blue Bricks and going from there.
That's incredible, mate. So what was just take it to the start then. You had your estate agency. How long were you there then?
It's an estate agent.
Yeah.
Few months.
Because
too
long.
Yeah, it was literally, I got back at the back end of 2019. I think I started as an estate agent right at the start of 2020. And then, obviously COVID hit. And being an estate agent's an interesting one. Like, I learned so much, but I won't say I enjoyed it particularly. Yeah,
I think you're going to be a certain type of person, haven't you?
Yeah,
I loved it, and
really?
then after a while, I just grew to hate it, sort of thing. It was a bit too repetitive, and I don't know. I didn't want to think it. Didn't really want to progress or anything like that. But anyway, then you went into sourcing. What was the script with that? Just wasn't for you? Could you? What was the script?
Well, the script with sourcing was. All my education at that point had been YouTube and podcasts, and a lot of the people I was watching on YouTube obviously I didn't realise at the time some of the controversies around property training and good training and bad training. So whatever I saw on YouTube, in my eyes, was gospel. You know, as it is. And the fear was, you'd watch these videos. It's like sourcing properties. You find a property, you find an investor, £3,000. I won't lie to you, I entered it thinking it's just easy, quick money that will then allow me to invest in property. I was very, very naive. I hold my hands up at that. So that's how I ended up getting into it. And obviously, if anyone is sourcing, give it about 2 to 3 months and you soon realise it's not that straightforward, especially in lockdown and COVID, where everyone's kind of, no one was certain, no one really knew what was going on. So that's how I got into sourcing. But it taught me loads about investment and the world of property. I really, really enjoyed quite a lot of it. There were some bits I'd never do it again, but I enjoyed it at the time. Met investors, worked with investors, viewing these houses, analysing these houses. It was a great path into property.
And where do you think the drive? Because clearly you went away, you done some travel. Where'd you go, by the way? Anywhere nice?
Southeast Asia, so Thailand, nice. Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia.
Love it. And then you come back and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh shit. But you obviously had the drive to want to work for yourself or do your own thing. So where do you think that stemmed from?
I think it's because my dad worked for himself. So my dad's a landscape gardener, and he worked for himself. And that, you know, I spent a lot of time with Dad as a kid when he'd have me on alternate weekends, and he'd always talk about running his own business and what it was like. And I've always had a massive issue with authority. Yeah. I've always really struggled with that. I've always had my way of doing things, and I think the drive to do my own thing, run my own business, was just amplified when I worked a 9 to 5. I just very quickly realised I don't want to play politics. I can't, you know, I had one instance where my nan had sadly passed away and she lived in London, and I wanted to go to my grandmother's funeral, and they said, no, you can't take it off. I don't think I had enough annual leave. So like you can't have the day off unless you like take it off unpaid. And that was this turning point where I thought, you know what? I'm never going to live my life being told what I can and cannot do and when I can and can't go. And if my nan passes away and I want to be at the funeral with my family, I'm going to be there. It's mental.
And that is a common case for a lot of people. We had Justin around before, and I think her dad was going in for an operation or somebody, same sort of thing. Can I have the time off? Oh, you can, but you'll have to do this, this, and this. It's like, this is life and death sort of thing, and you're mad, absolutely mad anyway. But so you done that, come home, went to estate agency, had a go at sourcing, wasn't for you, and then you went to Blue Bricks. Yeah. Did you know instantly? You obviously now the owner of Blue Bricks. Did you know instantly that you did? Was it a case of you loved it straight away? Was it, do you like the environment? What was the sort of the journey to that?
It was really weird entering Blue Bricks, because Blue Bricks at the time, the HQ was in Leeds, which was like Nathan's head office. And Nathan has a very interesting business model. He runs a boutique private equity firm, so he will buy and sell businesses and invest in businesses. So there was like a mishmash of people in there. There was myself, there was Nathan, there's Caroline Monks, that was owner of Blue Bricks, that would come in occasionally. And then there was another business in there, a start-up business. And it was the first time I've been exposed to entrepreneurs. It's not just like business owners, but that, you know, proper bootstrap start-up drive. And it kind of changed my perception on the world. I started seeing different things about mindset, what it took to start a business up. It was just a different world to anything I'd ever seen before. Yeah. I loved Blue Bricks. I loved the magazine. I loved the concept. I'd gone from watching people like Simon Zucci on YouTube to, Simon Zucci's on the phone. And it was this really, really weird thing. And I loved it. And I instantly saw, because Blue Bricks was started in 2020, this was 2021, so it was still a new business, all the avenues we could take to improve it. And I was very excited about that. I never dreamed I'd own it ever in a million years. Like, that was a complete curveball.
That's incredible. So what was you doing at Blue Bricks at the time then, when you first joined there? What was it you were doing?
Yeah, there was Nathan very much follows the approach of, I think it's tell people what to do, not how to do it, and let them surprise you with the results. So he was very much, I don't know, you're the market manager, do what you want. So I filmed the podcast episodes. We started up a small podcast at the time. I try and do a lot of stuff on social media. I try and sell the advertising. We didn't have much advertising then, so I try and do a lot of that. And just spread the word, really, was the main thing, just kind of trying to get it out there.
Yeah. And then at that point, you obviously, Nathan, the old owner, offered you to buy the business. Yeah. Do you felt like, at that time, did you feel like you understood the business enough? Or did you feel like, when he said to you, I've got this proposal, are you interested? How was your mindset at the time? Was it a case of, yeah, let's do it, let's, or what was the case?
It's overwhelming. I don't think I was scared once. I like, yeah, let's just do it. But it was this opportunity that was once in a lifetime. That was like, this could change my life. It could be the thing I've wanted to do for so long. I can't say no, but I had no idea how to publish a magazine. I'd never published a magazine before. All the stuff I'd done was marketing, so I hadn't seen the intricacies of that. I'm a writer and a copywriter, so that didn't scare me too much. I had all the skill sets there. The biggest fear at the time was my age, actually, like being young and running a property investment magazine. I was worried about how that would be perceived. I wasn't a big time property investor or anything like that. So that was the biggest mindset obstacle to overcome, I'd say.
That's really interesting, because I've had that problem in the past. I've had that problem being younger, being in property. It's kind of this perceived like older person. I don't know, but I get that. And how have you sort of overcome that then? What is it, a case of just plodding along, getting it done and showing the results sort of thing? Yeah,
absolutely. I think showing the results was a big one. Having, the people that are in the magazine now and that I'm sort of around on a regular basis, believing in me and taking me seriously, that's helped a lot to go, okay, my age isn't a factor anymore. And also just realising Blue Bricks isn't necessarily about me. Like, I'm here in front of the camera because someone's got to represent the business, and I go to events because someone's got to represent the business, but Blue Bricks isn't about me, Sam Cooke, it's about the people in the magazine. I've got one page in there, which is Editors Forward. The rest of it doesn't matter who I am or what I do. It's about the people in there and their stories. It's their content. So it makes no difference. So for people who don't know then, what is Blue Bricks magazine? So kind of perfect names. Blue Bricks is a property investment magazine. I target and aim it for more experienced investors, or at least ambitious investors. So if you've not got any properties or you're still new to property, as long as you're serious and you want to gather the knowledge, it's there for you. I try and keep the content very honest. So we talk about the good, the bad and the ugly. If people have done a project and it's been difficult partway through, we include that. We don't throw magic dust on it and make it all look brilliant. We also have a monthly event for our members, which can be live streamed across the UK or joined in person in Leeds. And we're now setting up quarterly events. We've got the first one coming up. It'll be September or October. And they're going to be more nationals, bring people together. And then in June this year, 2024, we had the Blue Bricks Awards, which was a high-end award ceremony in a castle of 250 property investors. So trying to make it more of a national community as well as a magazine. When you obviously, we'll go into this, but you took over. You took over the magazine. How was it when you took over? What was because I know it's a hard business you're in, isn't it? Yeah, publishing's difficult. Hard business. You obviously opened up other avenues, events mostly. Awards and stuff like that. What was the sort of don't want to say state, that sounds terrible. What was the sort of state of the business when you took over? Was it a tough time? How was it? It was really difficult. So it was quite an unprofitable business at the time. The only way we kind of managed to manage the turnover was because, like I said, I'm a writer. So the way it was structured is if I came into the business and if I did the editing, the proofreading, the writing, and kind of took out some of the freelancers, we could just about break even, make a little bit of money. So I ended up doing everything in the early days, and I was thrown in kind of midway through one of the issues being published. So I didn't get like an easy ride in with a few weeks to wrap my head around it. It was literally straight in, go publish a magazine. And it was challenging. It was challenging not having the funds to market it properly, and not having the time, because I still had to put the magazine together. I still had to try and sell the advertising. I was literally everything in the business, and it was it was basically just me at the time, and that was difficult. And you used the word bootstrap before. You clearly are a bootstrapped entrepreneur. How I met you, we didn't even meet at the time, but how I met you was through Caroline's event, and you were talking there on the ground, promoting Blue Bricks. Is that still the case now? Is that how you're growing the business? It still is the case, because rather annoyingly, the thing that gets us the most readers and subscribers, and the thing that's growing the brand the most, is speaking at events. I say quite annoyingly, because obviously it's time intensive and travel intensive, but I do that, and it's worked, because I've met so many interesting people like yourself. We've got new advertisers from it, a ton of new readers. It gets the brand out. It really does work. It's old school. I think a lot of people in business now focus on the digital stuff and have lost the just looking someone in the eyes and building that relationship. So yeah, I am bootstrapping in that sense. That's amazing, mate. And I absolutely love what you've done with it. I'll be honest, I didn't know
about Blue, but it just shows, doesn't it? I didn't know about Blue Bricks until Caroline's event and meeting you, and you come across really well, really funny, just like nice guy. And then I thought I must message you after it because I had to shoot off, and then you messaged me saying, "Oh, sorry, we didn't catch up," and I was like, "Wow, that's nice." But what you've done with it, mate, is absolutely incredible, and that's nothing to the last owner. Like what you've done with it, the revenue streams it looks like you've added and stuff, it is absolutely incredible. And it's a great magazine for anyone looking to potentially get involved in it. How does someone go about getting involved in inside the magazine and stuff like that? Is it a case of you approaching them?
Yeah, just approaching us. So, hi at bluebricksmagazine.com is the standardised email and approaching us. And if we think it's right fit and right for our readers or the right person, then we'll publish it, no problem. We are like backed up with content at the moment, but if it's really good content, we can try and get in sooner. So I always said to people, like, just approach us, right in, say hello. A lot of the people that were in there at the start was me approaching them. Now a lot of people approach us, and that's a nice change.
Yeah, definitely. And then you started the awards, which is incredible, mate. That looked mega. I gutted I couldn't get there. You did message me to come, and then it was quite late, short notice, and then I didn't end up getting there. But how was that?
It was incredible. It's the hardest thing I've ever done.
I can imagine.
It was next level putting that together. I'm not an organised person. I'm a very chaotic person, I'll admit that. So doing something that organised was challenging, but the day itself was unbelievable. Like, it was better than I could have ever imagined. The sun was shining. We had 250 people there. Everyone loved it. Everyone were partying on the dance floor in a castle. It was really surreal. And I had to take myself out a few times in the night to just appreciate it and appreciate what I built, because all I'm thinking about is this person having a good time, they're having a good time, everyone got the drinks, is the dinner coming out on time, and everyone was like, you just need to take a second to enjoy it, and I did, and it was fantastic.
Is that something that you have visualised from the start, to take it to that sort of, get events out and awards and stuff like that? Or did that come over time?
That came over time. I think, to be honest, it took me 18 months to really know where I wanted to take Blue Bricks, and I think that was a lot of work in myself as a person and my own mindset, and to figure that out. The awards, that came about at the back end of last year. I decided I wanted to do that with an investor, and we said, that sounds like a great idea.
The journey you've been on, mate, is literally incredible. If you could go back now and do anything different with the sort of Blue Bricks magazine, is there anything that you would do differently? Obviously, hindsight's a beautiful thing, but
good question. I'd have started speaking at events a lot sooner and just travelling the country and getting out there straight away. I'd have hired a bloody proofreader a lot quicker, because that used to kill me, did that. And for ages I'd sit 7 days a week reading articles and reading them, putting the commas in, and there was no ChatGPT then, and just making sure that they were grammatically okay. It cost me £200 just to get someone to do all that. So that I'd have done. I'd have definitely done a lot more travelling on it sooner. I'd have put an emphasis on events a lot sooner too. I think those are the main things. Yeah, really.
That's it. And are you looking to what are your plans with it? Are you plans to just grow and grow? The magazine itself, I have had a nose at it, and it's incredible, mate. And some of the numbers in there, one of your big things is like ethical, like that shines through. Why is that important to you?
I think it's just who I am. I really care about doing the right thing and helping people. To the point that sometimes it goes against me. And there's obviously always decisions in business. I'm like very emotionally involved, and I really care about people and doing the right thing. And I think that just accidentally bled into Blue Bricks and was actually surprisingly well received. And I think the more, I switch on Facebook, and it's almost like every other week now, someone's taking money, someone's doing this, someone's robbing the investor. Obviously, I don't know how much truth there is to all these stories, but we've all heard horror stories. And I was just like, I want to create something that people can trust, that people can rely on, that's accessible to people, where they feel, it's a weird word to use, but safe, where there's a community that people can turn to learn about property, to be inspired by the right people. It's super important to me to do that. And I think at the end of the day, we're all pursuing in business freedom, money, whatever it might be. And I think, to me, it's important that I look in the mirror at the end of the day and kind of recognise myself, because I found it so easy to just do whatever you want when you want, especially when there's money on the line there.
Yeah.
So it is important. And the Blue Bricks Awards were all based around ethical investing, and I didn't do that just for me. It was landlords got an awful reputation.
They have.
Really bad reputation. I've had stand-up arguments with people where I've been out and about. Like I went to drop a magazine off somewhere and someone's like, landlords are evil, or the source for all evil, we shouldn't have them. And I was like, you know what, with the Blue Bricks Awards, what I can do is demonstrate these really good people that are doing really good things and showcase that as a positive example to counteract all the negativity. And a lot of what I told everyone to do in my speech, because I did a speech for the awards, I said, write to your newspaper if you win. Write to them and let them know. And a few people have done and have been published in local newspapers for winning awards for like social housing and stuff like that. So it's been really cool to see like landlords in the media for the right thing.
Yeah,
that's been cool.
Definitely. Well, just to let you know, mate, I did tell you this before, but you're a really, really good speaker. I know you used to do stand-up comedy. Does that stem from that, do you think, or?
All my speaking comes from comedy, yeah. Out of everything I've ever done, comedy has been the most useful.
Really?
Oh, 100%, yeah. It's been brilliant for many different reasons. But yeah, all my speaking comes from comedy.
Yeah, you're a great speaker. When I heard you at Calum, I was like, this kid's really good at speaking. And then you said about being like I used to be a comedian and stuff. So was that an important time for you doing that kind of stuff?
It was, because first of all, comedy is a hard one for me now because I have to learn, and I've had to learn when to switch it on and off with people because I can be quite dark, and I've realised that's not always perceived well by everyone. So that's difficult. It was important for me because comedy was the first thing I'd done that I was doing for me. Before then, I'd taken jobs because it'd come up and almost felt like I was drifting through life. And comedy was the first thing I looked at. I thought, I want to do that. I wanted to be a comedian full time. That was what I really, really wanted. And then got into it, realised actually it wasn't, what I thought it was. I loved it. I loved every second of it. But I just realised I wanted business instead. And it was the first time I'd encountered in my own head, like, imposter syndrome. Like, I had this really bad thing. Like, I was like, I want to do comedy. And then something in my head just went, well, you're not funny and you're not good enough. And it took me a year to overcome that. It was really challenging. I couldn't even put the pen to paper and write a set because I had this, like, thing in my head. And then I overcame that. And that was like overcoming a massive mental obstacle in my own mind. So comedy, to me, is so important because I feel like that's been a catalyst for so much that's come after it. I genuinely don't think without comedy that I'd have done everything else that I've done.
That's mad. Where do you think the imposter syndrome come from?
I think I had a really hard time at school.
It's always childhood, isn't it?
It is childhood, and I'd always been brought up believing that I am nothing, that I'm not good enough, and I'd always had that kind of drilled into me, and I didn't realise it was there until I tried to go my own way, and then I realised, oh, actually, that's still a massive part of my psyche. It still is a little bit today, I still get it, and I'm still fighting that, but not as badly as I used to do.
Mate, I fight it constantly. Yeah. I still don't know a way around it, to be honest. It's one of them things. I think I had a great relationship with family and stuff, but it does become, they don't mean to. It might be loved ones and they might not mean to, but it's kind of, they maybe put their, what's the word? They put their, I can't think of the word now, but they don't mean to. I can't think of what I'm trying to think, but I suffered with it. I suffered for a while. And it's one of them things where...
Limiting beliefs, is that?
Limiting beliefs. They put their limiting beliefs on you, and it's like, that's kind of wrong, that. And then you don't, until you actually try and succeed in something, you don't realise it's there. And then it's a hard thing to come over. How have you come over it?
You know what, mate? The honest answer is I wish I could give some like inspirational David Goggins soundbite, but I think the truth is just fucking cracking on and doing it. I genuinely think that is the only thing that's worked, is going, you know what, I might not be good enough and I might completely fail, but I'm going to do it anyway. Yeah. And that's the only way. And eventually, after doing that for so long, you kind of build up evidence in your own mind that you can look back at and go, yeah, but I've done this and I've done this and I've done this. And then it becomes slightly easier because you've got the social proof. But I genuinely think, mate, it's partly just ignoring those voices and realising that almost everyone feels that way. So you might as well just go ahead.
You could have done sourcing. You could have went into rent to rent. You could have went into anything, and you decided the magazine. That opportunity arose. Why did you decide to go for it at the time? Because it was quite a big thing for you to take on, wasn't it? For anyone to take on, it's a big thing. Why did you decide to go for it?
Because I was like, I'm never going to get an opportunity like this again. I wanted to follow, and I still want to follow Nathan's footprints. He's, like I say, a massive inspiration of mine. He knows it. He's one of my best friends. I bother him every week telling him what her inspiration is to me. And I was like, this is kind of the chance. This is the door opening that I've been waiting for, and it's opened so much sooner. But like, I wanted to buy a business. I didn't know it would be Blue Bricks magazine. My idea was I would build a business, sell that, and then buy another business. But the door to buying a business opened to me years ahead of when I'd expected it to. And I thought, I can't let that go. So I'm just going to have to take the leap and go for it. As terrifying as it was.
Yeah. What are some of the things you've learned from having Blue Bricks then? 'Cause it's a great magazine, but what are some of there must have been some like hurdles along the way. What are some of them?
Mate, the hardest thing I've had to deal with over the past year, I'll be entirely honest, and I don't know how relatable this is to anyone, but because we've talked about ethics and what I believe in and trying to live a virtuous life, realising that not everyone shares your viewpoint, and realising there's a lot of people out there that don't really care about right or wrong and doing the right thing. That's been hard because there's been people I've trusted that have severely hurt me and done things against me in business. That was a big learning curve for me personally. I think from a business standpoint, I've learned a lot about brand building, what it takes to build a brand, what it takes to have a meaning behind a business. I've learned a lot about basically the economy and the way that people are buying now and the way that buying is changing, what's important to people. I've learned a lot about selling people what they want and then giving them what they need. That's a big thing. About taking my own views aside for a second and just looking at what my customers want. Because when you're providing a magazine, I can't just have all my beliefs in there. It's not about me, it's about the readers. So it's taught me a lot about business as a whole.
Yeah. Branding's a massive thing in property. I struggle with it. Yeah. I struggle with it. I'm just guessing half the time and just hoping for the best. How the branding on Blue Bricks is great. How did you, is it a case of trial and error that you've learned, or did you just learn over time what people like, what people don't like?
Yeah.
In terms of branding?
By pure accident. I started, it's weird, before I had the event, the monthly event and the awards and stuff, I knew we had readers in a magazine, but never really met them. So I didn't know who they were or what they liked, what they didn't like. When we did the events, my personality, because I was hosting the events, bled into the events, and the stuff around ethics just started coming out. It wasn't a deliberate manoeuvre, and then the Blue Bricks event that's a monthly thing has grown this like real community, like of lovely, great, kind people, and that came from my beliefs. And then realising that's what people were receptive to, and that's what the industry needed. We needed some truth, we needed something reliable. That kind of built the Blue Bricks brand by accident, that kind of reliable place. And I almost took my youth and my sort of newness to property and put that into the brand to make it new and trendy and different, because publishing's an old school industry. The property industry is an old industry. My competitors are fantastic businesses, but they've been around, I think one of them's been around longer than I've been alive. It's a very old industry, so trying to bring something new into that.
Is that a competitor that's been did you say then?
Yeah.
That's
I think
incredible.
so
You're going up against,
and they're brilliant magazines. Like this is the thing, I've got a really weird view on competition, because I look at my competitors, I'm like, oh, you're amazing. I realise like the content's so good, and I love your front cover, and like I'm a bit of a nerd. And I think that freaks some of them out actually.
Are you connected with them and stuff? Or are you just catch up?
I went for dinner with Ant Lyons from YPM, for example. He's a fantastic guy, and it's, the magazine's a really good magazine too. Cuthbert Simon from HMO magazine, he's a friend of mine. And I love it, because even though the competitors, I can talk to them about things that I can't really speak to most people about.
They understand
about the publishing side of things, so it's actually quite therapeutic.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
I to be honest, I only know two. I knew yours and I knew YPM, and it's nice that you've got a relationship with them, and you can go have a chat with them and talk about business, because sometimes people don't understand, and there's not many people, like, that's why I said to you before, you can do sourcing, you can do rent to rent, but like there's probably thousands of people doing that. I only know two people doing that. Doing a magazine. That's you and the guy from YPN. So it's incredible, mate. Obviously you said about you took over, I like that what you said, that you took over, you ended up taking over quite a lot of roles, which can be quite demanding. At what point did you start to dish out roles again, and because obviously you said it was £200 for the proofreader and stuff, but at what point was that? Because I know it gets to a point where you can just burn out.
So when I took on Blue Bricks, it was a really difficult time, because I'd lost someone very close to me that passed away. An old school friend of mine had sadly passed away too. And I just had this thing where, like, emotionally, I was really struggling with that loss, but I'd just taken on Blue Bricks, so I couldn't, walk away. So I was working 7 days a week, Ollies. I was struggling with myself and struggling putting a magazine together, and I was almost forced to outsource, because I think every new business, when you're new to it, everyone struggles outsourcing. It's really hard to do because no one can do the job better than you. And I had no choice. I was like, I can't keep up with this. So proofreading was the first thing outsourced. So design was outsourced always. I can't design anything, not even an Instagram post. So that was the first thing, the proofreading went. And then slowly it kind of went from there. So I'm trying to think what else outsourced. A lot of the marketing at the time was outsourced, but I've hired in-house for that now. A lot of the admin, stuff like that, just freeing up my time to spend more time doing things like this, to spend more time at events, spend more time on the business, not in the business.
Yeah. Is that the most important for you now, getting yourself out there, being bootstrapped?
Massively.
Going events, going on podcasts. You create your own podcast as well?
I have, yes.
How's that going, mate?
Yeah, I'm 10 episodes in. I'm learning a lot about that. It's been interesting trying to find a direction and, again, make that difference to the other podcasts. That's been good. And yeah, it's important for me to spend time on the business. James Sinclair, we were talking about him, is another massive inspiration of mine. Fantastic guy. And I interviewed him for the magazine. He was on the front cover of one of the issues. And I said to him, like, what's, like, your advice to success? What's, like, the main thing? And he said the 80-20 rule. He said 80% of the time should be on business development, 20% should be on the day-to-day run-ins, and I try to live by that like gospel, and that's been a huge help.
How have you found doing that? Because I try and live by that. However, I do believe it's easier said than done. I wish I was like that all the time.
Yeah.
But it is very easier said than done, I think. I think the key is obviously having people in place, essentially. But what are your thoughts on that?
Now that I've hired someone, a lot easier than it used to be. Like, it is easier said than done when it's literally just you. And discipline, I think. Now I try and do it, so I'll do my first 4 hours of the day, I'll focus on BD, so it's when I've got the most energy, and then I know that time's allotted to it, and then the rest of the day doing the other stuff. And I think understanding what's important, because I see people, I've seen people like up at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning doing a social media post. And you think, if you just went to bed, got up an hour earlier and did the social media post, then, like, would it make any difference?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I work 15-hour days. And you go, yeah, but how many of those 15 hours are actually doing
Working,
stuff?
Yeah. That's interesting, because I was having a chat with someone before who was on, and I was just saying, like, one thing I need to get better at is organising time and blocking time out and stuff like that. And I think it's so hard, especially when you're in a position where you are the person making everything happen, you are doing everything. And like you just said then, if you haven't got that 80%, 20%, I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
But when you're the person, when you've got no employees, it's not impossible, but it is very hard. I think maybe get someone involved as soon as you can. But what I wanted to get to is, how do you organise your diary? Because you sound like you got 4 hours BDM, which is great.
Yeah.
How do you organise it from week to week?
Yeah, the interesting question, because I've just started a new structure lately, because like I said, I'm a chaotic person. It's one of my downsides. I'm massively chaotic, and I had a chaotic diary, and I met a guy called Nick Thorpe who helped me with this. He does some business coaching and stuff and mindset coaching, and he's helped me create a weekly plan. So like now my Monday mornings are admin, Monday afternoons business development. I'm trying to flip that around now, so it's business development first, because I'm guilty of letting the admin bleed over. Like Tuesday's a creative day, so that's putting the magazine together, writing articles, that kind of thing. Thursdays are reserved entirely for calls, so sales calls, podcasts, interviewing people for the magazine. That all takes place on a Thursday. Wednesday, I do strategy in the evening, so I'm like, where is the business now? Where I'd want it to go? Fridays, look at things like financials, and I have a bit of a free day Friday. Not saying that I'm not working Friday, but in terms of Fridays for whatever needs doing. So
that's great.
More BD. Yeah.
I need to take that up, definitely, because I've just recently, I've knew for ages, it's one of them things. It's just getting worse and worse and gradually worse, and time's just getting, everything's just getting ahead of me, sort of thing. But I do know I need to block out time and get something like that. So did you get help with that? Did you have a mentor sort of thing, a coach, or?
Yeah, I did like a business coaching day.
I'm gonna have to do that.
Yeah, and this is what one of the things I walked through that I found really helpful. So like knowing that, okay, Monday I'm doing this thing, and Tuesday I'm doing this thing, and I don't have to worry about writing this article because I know I'm getting to that on Thursday, has been massively helpful.
Yeah, it's something I need to do that. How important do you think investing in the coaches? Is that something that you continue to do, or
I am.
You have a lot of good people around you, to be fair.
I do, yeah. I have some really good people around me. I think it depends on the person. I think coaches are great for accountability. I have, Nathan helps me quite a lot as a friend. Sometimes when there's overarching things like business acquisitions that I need help with, or strategy, he'll help me with that and ideas. I think it's important, whether you have a coach, but just to have people around you that if you are a bit stuck, you can pick up the phone and talk to them. Some of the best people I've had that have ever helped me, I've not paid. They've just been people that wanted to help me. I'm not saying that there's no value in coaches or mentors. Like I say, I've just invested in one myself. But I found the most helpful people to be the ones that did it for free.
Yeah, most definitely. And it's a great thing that you're still really good mates with the ex-owner, because he knows it inside and out, doesn't he? So that's incredible. How's that for you?
Yeah, how's it with
the ex-owner? Is it, what's his
name?
Nathan, sorry, yeah. So basically, you're still pally with him now after owning it. So you've still got that person there. Usually, when you buy a company anyway, they maybe go on as an exec or something like that. Yeah. But how is it? It's nice that you can still chat to him and say, I've got this going on. He knows the business inside and out. Yeah, that must be quite a nice thing.
It is. I mean, we're like best friends, but we shouldn't be on paper because we're complete opposites in a lot of stuff. We are in a lot of ways. I'm a lot more talkative and stuff. He's a lot more quiet and reserved. But we balance each other out quite well. It is helpful. He's just a good friend in general, but it's always been helpful to have him there to just go, I'm thinking of this thing, I'm struggling with this thing. And because Nathan's so experienced in so many different businesses, for him to either go, that's a really good idea, or to point out some of the things that I've perhaps not thought of. That's all. It's comforting almost to know that there's someone there that I can talk to if I need that support.
Incredible. Sam, it's been lovely having you on, mate. I've really enjoyed chatting to you. If anyone is looking to get involved in Blue Bricks, wants a copy, where is the best place to find yourself and Blue Bricks? Yeah,
absolutely. So bluebricksmagazine.com is the website. We do a 3-month trial to Blue Bricks, so you can go in, click join, top right hand corner. You'll get a magazine posted to you in the post. You can read that at your leisure, see if you enjoy it, see if it's for you. You can join our monthly event, or either come in person in Leeds or live stream online entirely for free. And if you don't like it, fine, unsubscribe, not a problem. If you do like it, obviously you can stay subscribed. We've also got Blue Bricks Magazine, which is the Instagram too. We've got, I need to keep mentioning this now, we've got a newsletter too. I've just released a weekly newsletter, which is basically what's gone on in the property market that week, and we dissect it and say how it's going to affect landlords. If you email hi@bluebricksmagazine.com, we'll add you to that. And then for me personally, if you want to see my general bloody moanings on life, just look at Sam Cooke on LinkedIn or Instagram. You may get a soul singer, because I've shared the name of a very famous soul singer. Just look for me. I'm the kind of blonde, young-looking one. Yeah.
Well, congratulations on mate on what you've done, because what you have done is incredible and definitely an inspiration to me, mate. So thank you for coming on. I appreciate